JJ Starling and Donnie.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
When you think of an X Factor, it's typically not a star player because we expect that the stars are going to be stars. JJ Starling is not an X Factor. He's just a good player. Naithan George is not an X Factor. He's just a good player. Honestly, when I usually think of an X Factor in any sport, I think of someone that's under the radar but could have a major impact on winning or losing a game. And if we're talking basketball here, which is what we're doing, college or pro, one of the best examples that I can think of off the top of my head of an X Factor is J.R. Smith. Shout out to the Knicks fans that are watching or listening to this podcast. I myself am not a Knicks fan, but Knicks fans know it. Cavalier fans know it. That J.R. Smith was a massive X Factor when he was playing in the NBA. Because one night, he would score 30 points and he would look like he was the best player in the world. And then the next night, all of a sudden, he's 1 for 9 from three-point land. He scores 4 points, and you're wondering why this guy has a job in the NBA. That's who I think of when I think of an X Factor, a guy like J.R. Smith. So rarely do I ever consider a star player to be an X Factor because we expect them to be stars. But in the case of Donnie Freeman, I actually think it does apply to him. I do believe that he is an X Factor and either the first or the second most X Factor on Syracuse. It's him and William Kyle. So it's really the starting front court for Syracuse this upcoming season. Let's get into the backstory of Donnie Freeman because this is going to help prove, at least my opinion, that Donnie Freeman is a massive X Factor. And I want to hear from you, your thoughts in the comment section below right now, how much of an idiot I am for considering Donnie Freeman an X Factor, okay? So heading into 2024, so the last season that just happened, Donnie Freeman was Syracuse's highest rated basketball recruit since Carmelo Anthony in 2002. Multiple major recruiting services ranked Donnie Freeman as the 6th best player overall in the nation. And if you look at Rivals and 24/7, ESPN, and On3, it might have been 24/7 Sports that was lowest on Donnie Freeman. The lowest he got was 15th in the country, the 15th best player in the country coming out of high school. So no matter what, this was a truly elite recruit out of high school. Better than what Syracuse has coming in this year. Guys like Sadiq White and Kyan Anthony, those are borderline top 30 guys. Those are good, certainly excellent recruits, not meaning to minimize them, but there are levels to recruits. Donnie Freeman was that next tier. This is someone who we pretty much expected right away was going to have a major impact on Syracuse basketball. And I think he had a decent year. I think he had a solid year relative to expectations. I think the fact that he was the best recruit since that big name of Carmelo Anthony kind of hinders the perception of the year that Donnie Freeman actually had. But when he was healthy, he averaged 13 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, over 50% from the field, and 33% from the three-point line. I think he does leave a bit to be desired defensively. So I think that's one of the big areas where he can grow. And speaking of growth, I mean, he does have to get stronger. That is undeniable. He does have to put on more weight, really just more muscle weight. That being said, Donnie Freeman put up 13 and 8 on that efficiency, playing about 25 and a half minutes per game, which is what I mentioned in the previous segment. In fact, he was only 4th on the team in minutes per game last season. The guys ahead of him were JJ Starling. Okay, that's fine. That's to be expected. Eddie Lampkin was ahead of him, which kind of makes sense because he was the team's starting center, and Syracuse, I mean, the only center they really had behind him was Naheem McLeod. So Eddie had to play a lot. But then Jaquan Carlos also averaged more minutes per game than Donnie Freeman a year ago. Yeah, brilliant coaching there by Adrian Autry, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. Maybe it's because Donnie Freeman was dealing with the injury, so they had to limit his minutes. I'll listen to that part. Other than that, there's no reason why he should be playing less than him. But let's bring it back to the present day for this upcoming season. Donnie Freeman is probably going to take a sophomore jump. He's going to be better this upcoming season. That's a fair point. That is not a hot take whatsoever. He's going to be better as a sophomore than what he was as a freshman. But where the X factor comes in with Donnie Freeman is this. How much of a leap is he going to take? How much of a leap will Donnie Freeman take in his true sophomore season? He's got the potential, given his pedigree, to be Syracuse's best player this upcoming season. He's got the potential and the pedigree to potentially be All-ACC next season. I could very easily see him being first team or second team All-ACC. Easily. Judah Mintz, who we'll talk about in a second here, he was second team All-ACC as a true sophomore. So why can't Donnie Freeman do something similar to that and take that next step, right? And I do also think that, look, maybe it's me wearing my orange colored glasses, so I guess I'm putting them on right now. I do think there is a outside chance, I'm not predicting this to happen, but I'm saying that there's an outside chance that if he really takes that next step in development, that he could crack one of the All-American teams for next season. Maybe. That it's on the table with a guy like him where we're sitting here around this time next year and we're saying Donnie Freeman's got to be a top 15 pick in the NBA draft. That's where the X factor comes in. He's probably going to get better as a sophomore than where he was as a freshman, but how much better will he actually get for Syracuse? And it goes without saying, the better he gets, the more he improves, the more wins it's probably going to lead to for Syracuse basketball. I know, earth-shattering take right there I just gave you all. What do you think? Are you convinced not JJ Starling or J.R. Smith, are you convinced now that Donnie Freeman is one of, if not the biggest X factor on Syracuse basketball next season? I want to hear you right now in the comments section below. Now let's get to Judah Mintz, which I teased a couple of minutes ago here. While these players, Judah Mintz and Donnie Freeman, are obviously completely different, they play different positions, they have different strengths, different weaknesses, I kind of view Donnie this upcoming season in a similar light to how I view Judah Mintz heading into his sophomore season, which was 2023-24. I wasn't yet the host of this podcast, by the way, but I'm just saying for the record, I remember my thought process at the time with Judah, which is he's going to get better as a sophomore, and he did get better as a sophomore, but the question going in was how much better was he going to get? And again, he did take a little bit of a jump. He scored a lot more as a sophomore. Syracuse won more games with Judah Mintz as a sophomore compared to when he was as a freshman, but it wasn't enough of a jump for Syracuse. Am I blaming Judah Mintz for that year and not making the tournament? Absolutely not. He was the furthest reason why you would say why Syracuse didn't make the tournament, like the last one you would think of. But he did not take enough of a jump. In fact, his three-point percentage actually went down his sophomore season compared to his freshman season, and we were hoping that that efficiency was going to go up from him in his sophomore year. So again, with a guy like Judah, who had a really big freshman year, he got better as a sophomore. He was second team All-ACC, but it just wasn't quite enough for Syracuse basketball, which leads me again back to Donnie Freeman being an X factor. He's going to be better. He's probably going to average more than 13 points and 8 rebounds a game. He might do a little bit better efficiency-wise. Maybe he improves defensively. But how much of a leap does he truly take for this team.